Good afternoon. I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Thursday, March the 5th, broadcasting from my home in Snowbound Hillcrest with some Arkansas news headlines. I think the first item of interest for the Arkansas Times today is continued reporting on the story about Representative Justin Harris and his adoption that went bad. He adopted some children from the state, turned them over to another family. Not many months later, the man of the family raped one of the children and is now serving a prison sentence. Justin Harris has not talked to us about it. A lot of questions remain. The governor is getting involved. Asa Hutchinson has called for an investigation by DHS into the fact that we now have no bars to what's called rehoming in Arkansas. That is, somebody who's gone through an intense state adoption procedure can just turn around and let somebody else readopt these childs without a review. The governor wants to look into that. Greg Letting, the representative from Fayetteville, filed a bill yesterday that would prohibit rehoming except to other family members, and I think this is a situation that certainly needs a look. At the Arkansas Supreme Court today, the court overturned most of the lower court decision that had held unconstitutional all of a 2013 law that made it harder to use paid petition canvassers to put amendments and initiated acts on the ballot. They have upheld the judge as far as striking down a couple of smaller parts of the law, but in the main, some of the toughest restrictions on paid canvassers are going to be put back into the law. This will be good news to the corporate interests that don't like these paid petition campaigns because they sometimes go against their interests, particularly, for example, in the case of gambling at Oaklawn Park. The legislature met today despite the snow. Not any big activities, but a lot of interesting topics. The Family Council, conservative religious group that we sometimes disagree with, brought up some points worth talking about. Legislation by Jeremy Hutchinson. One is a bill that would open up gambling on a small basis by expanding the so-called Chuck E. Cheese law, which allows people to give away very small trinkets at video arcades, at pizza parlors and the like, but that would allow much bigger gifts worth up to $850 wholesale value. I think the critics are right in saying that this would open up gambling on a widespread basis without actually calling that. The Family Council also objects to a bill that would allow grocery stores that now sell wine only from Arkansas and only from small batch wineries to also sell wine from anywhere else. There's a SOP in the bill to Arkansas producers, a grant program to give them money from new tax proceeds, but I think retail liquor dealers can still be expected to object to this. Justin Harris, the same guy who has adoption problems, got beaten back in committee today on a bill that is intended to make it easier for schools to have nativity scenes in their classrooms at wintertime and also to say Merry Christmas. There was some doubt about whether we really needed legislation about this. He angrily pulled the bill down but said he's not through fighting for Christianity. They approved a bill in committee, in the same committee this morning, that allows advertising on school buses. What a great captive audience for advertising. Elsewhere in the education field, we posted a memo online this morning from UALR Chancellor Joel Anderson about the ongoing studies by that campus to deal with the declining enrollment and the decline in revenue that goes along with the loss of students. They may adjust by cutting expenses. They'll adjust certainly by faculty teaching more classes, but next year if enrollment continues to decline, they may have to take the hard step of cutting some programs entirely. That process is underway. We heard this morning from Mark Stoller, the mayor of Little Rock, about the ongoing debate about whether there will be a new facility for the Arkansas Arts Center and where it will be. It's currently in Little Rock. North Little Rock Mayor Joe Smith has a bold plan to spend $100 million, mostly in tax revenue, to build a new center in North Little Rock. Mark Stoller says he has a plan too. He's just not ready to say yet what it is. Little news on the job front. A couple of familiar figures have new work. Mike Beebe, you may remember him. He's the former governor. He's associated with a law firm and consulting and lobbying firm, the Roberts Law Firm. Interesting in that another member of that law firm is Asa Hutchinson III, the son of the current governor. So we have a former governor and a current governor's son working hand in hand on government relations, so-called. Beebe says he will not be lobbying, as the term is specifically understood. And finally, Phyllis Bell, she's the wife of Representative Nate Bell, a bumptious Republican from Mena. Turns out she's a full-time lobbyist for Asa Hutchinson, paid $50,000 a year. We think this could lend some credence to reports that Nate Bell may be angling to get a state government appointment from Asa Hutchinson himself at the end of this legislative term, putting two Bells in Little Rock and not back in Mena. That's probably not good for the Arkansas Times. As you may know, yesterday Nate Bell condemned us to hell and threatened to prosecute us if we ever called him again after our story about Justin Harris. That's the news today from Hillcrest and my snowbound home. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back tomorrow.